Yes, we can go ahead.
Good. So, good morning, everyone. I am KK Duggal, Director of Gems and Jewelry Export Promotion Council, and welcome all of you to this very important webinar, which has been organized in association with the GFT officials about the upgraded electronic bank realization certificate system, which has been initiated and started by the DGFT for the benefit of the exporters. As we all know, see, the realization certificate for exporters is of prime importance. Those of you who have been exporting in the past decades would know that earlier there used to be a manual bank realization certificate which had a very lengthy, some 20, 22 columns, which were filled by hand by the exporters, then taken to the banks for verification and authentication, and then submitted to the GFT for claiming various incentives. In 2012, DGFT started with the digital EBRC, the Bank Realization Certificates, which reduced the burden to a great extent. And subsequently, last year in November, they had come out with a notification wherein they had initiated a self-certified BRC to be issued by the DGFT website on the basis of the inward uh, payments received information from the banks. For our sector, all our members would know that EBRC is all the more important because when the exporters take gold on loan from the bank, they give bank guarantees to the bank to the effect that they would be making shipment within the due dates. And not only will be making the shipment within the due dates, will also be realizing the payments from the foreign buyers within the prescribed time limits. And their bonds are only cancelled or their DGs are only released once the EBRCs issued are submitted by them to the banks. Now, the EBRC, which was issued earlier, prior to this new system which has been launched, was issued by the banks, and banks used to charge an amount of fees, which was adding to the cost of export. With this launch of the new pilot system, I think not only the costs of getting the BRC will be reduced, but also it will reduce the burden on the banks for maintaining and issuing the BRCs. So it is quite a step forward in the especially in the ease of doing business for exporters. And we are thankful to the DGFT for that. We have with us today Mr. Arjun Upadhyay, the Deputy Director of DGFT, who has been initiating and having organizing many outreach programs for making the exporters aware about the various aspects and the various nuances of this new system. We're thankful to him for sparing his time and agreeing to our request for addressing the members. And Mr. Mohan is also likely to join. He is the brain behind the main system, and he is well aware of the sector. And the sector people are also very well known to him because he has been associated with us with our sector since long time, especially with the UAE SEPA and the TRQ licenses issued for the gold import from there. He has been very helpful and uh, very positive about that thing. And we also have the other team members from the DGFT and other officials who would be sharing their presentation. So thank you all for joining, and may I request Mr. Arjun Upadhyay to take it forward.
Yeah, thank you, Dugalji. Good morning to everyone, and welcome to this webinar, which is organized by GJEPC. Today, providing us a platform to reach out to members of the gems and jewelry sector, which play a very important role in India's exports. So, as Dugalji correctly mentioned, we have been over the years taking a step-by-step approach to bring more and more ease of doing business into the lives of our exporters. And I think this particular initiative is a big one. There are many small steps that we keep taking, but the present system, at least as far as the financial compliance side of exports is concerned, is a big change. So Today, what we are going to do is, firstly, I'll make a brief presentation so that you all understand what was before and what is now in a bit of detail. Dugalji has touched on it already. And then we will be showing a demonstration of the system itself so that exporters who have joined today are well aware about in the meantime, how many exporters have already joined?
90 plus have joined.
Okay. Are we expecting more, or have you received any RSVPs? Reason I'm checking is that so that we don't have repeat questions because many missed the presentation or something like this.
I think we were expecting 100 plus. So as of now, 96 have joined.
Okay.
I think you can upload and share your screen. If people join later, we can always ask their question if they have, but the main ones have already joined, I think.
Okay. Right. I'm just trying to give me a moment.
Okay.
Yes, are you able to share the presentation? Somehow Zoom is not giving me an option to share the presentation screen. So if yes, you can try Yash or Faisal.
Okay, sir.
Right. The presentation is now visible. We will start. Thanks, Yash. Uh, so,
It is visible. Hello.
yeah, can you switch to the slideshow mode? Anyway, let's go ahead. Firstly, all of you are well aware, you all have been, I believe, using the EBRC system for a long time. So it stands for the Electronic Bank Realization Certificate. So the key feature of EBRC is that at whatever stage of realization you are, EBRC is well positioned to serve as a proof of realization against at least the amount of remittance that you have already received against the exports made. So EBRC is inbuilt with the flexibility that irrespective of how far you are in the cycle of realization, you can always at least claim benefits and do compliances to the extent of realization that you have made. So before the revamp of the system, as you all know, you would have to take the necessary documents to the banks to get the certificate. We will see how it has changed with the revamp. So the uses of EBRC are multifold. one Mr. Dugal just mentioned for gold, which is procured from the banks, how EBRC helps. The other big one that you already know is to get the incentives under foreign trade policy, notably the advance authorization and EPCG schemes, as well as the legacy schemes which are there, which is MEIS, SEIS, and TMA. And another big reason why EBRC is required is for GST compliances. Rule 82, 89.2 of CGST rules state for all the scenarios that are on the screen, you will need a EBRC to either show what remittance has already come and then take the input tax credit, or to close the compliance loop. Next. So the current process of EBRC is starts when the remittance happens from your buyer abroad. Once the remittance comes in, an inward remittance message is generated, and this forms the basis of processing of EBRC. So the exporter then goes to the bank, submits all the shipping bill and other documents to the respective bank. After due verification, the banker decides to upload the EBRC and make it available on the DGFT system. This can then be downloaded by the IC holder and used for various purposes, as we saw in the previous slide. This is for merchandise exports. In the next slide, we'll see for services exports. Next. So in services exports, there is an additional step which starts with the EFIRC. Later, based on this, the exporter requests for EBRC with all the documents, which is submitted in a physical format to the banks. After due verification, the certificate is uploaded, and then it is usable by the exporter. So it sounds simple enough, but as you know, in experience, there are a whole host of complications involved in a system which has multiple interfaces, physical interface. You will have to go to the banks, submit physical documentations, reconciliation issues, etc. So next slide, please. So the issues are multifold. Firstly, it is not only an issue for exporters, but also the banks, because this is a big burden on them. The country's exports are growing over the years. The gem and jewelry sector has been one of the front runners um, in taking India's exports to the heights that we have reached today. So you all know that over the years, both because of short-staffed conditions in the banks, as well as increasing exports, which naturally the banks can't keep up with by adding so many people. EBRCs have been getting delayed, and because of this, various problems have been faced by the exporters. Especially the MSME exporters have continuously highlighted that this has become an issue which is significantly affecting their businesses. The gem and jewelry sector also uses the courier and parcel route to do exports, especially the non-precious sector, etc. So it is all the more critical there because EBRCs means that there is a substantial cost involved in every transaction, and the low margin businesses, which is high in volume, are especially affected by both the compliance burden as well as the cost burden. So for the banks, it is always an issue that they have to take the responsibility of verifying everything before uploading, and whatever is then issued in for terms of certificate, they own the complete ownership of the authenticity of the information provided. So to solve these and many other issues, in the next slide we will see on the services export side also there were quite a few issues. Many of you will of course be the merchandise exporters. Next slide, Yash. So, but I think even in the gem and jewelry sector, there is a significant opportunity in terms of services export, because the design and development of jewelry in itself has become a big field. And many of the firms in India who have been doing this now also export this as a service to other places. So in services export, we had various issues that there are many different codes, unlike merchandise exports, which is a very sorted system, and the codes, the HS codes, make the backbone of the merchandise export. In service exports, it's more complicated. The Softex system, of course, is there for IT exports, that is based on RBI purpose codes. And then there is also FIRA, which is based on that. But FETRS is another system that works on different codes. There are FETRS purpose codes. GST, of course, all of you know there is SSE codes. And EBRC, in EBRC, SSE was optional before. Now, this creates a third layer of issue, which is for the policymaker, that they don't have a certainty of what kind of exports are happening and what to do in the sector to support and simplify the ecosystem. So the major changes in this revamped DBRC system is firstly philosophical. We are moving towards a system of trust on the Indian exporters, instead of a verification mechanism where the authority is the only reliable entity. We think our exporters are deserve to be treated with the trust that this system tries to now inculcate. So henceforth, EBRCs will be generated by exporters themselves without having to approach the banks via a self-certification mechanism. Secondly, on the cost, which many of the sectors were badly affected because the cost for low margin transactions are significant for EBRC generation. Now this will be a cost-free process. There will be absolutely no charged by the DGFT for this certified issuance of EBRC. The banks used to charge this before because they have a transaction cost. They have to provide personal time and effort to verify and then issue the EBRC. We have, as we'll see in the next slides, we have moved to a more intelligent system. The third one is a big one, which is the need for any application and request is done away with. So it will be a complete paperless process where you will simply log on to the DGFT system, and without submission of any paper documents, in a matter of few clicks, generate your EBRC and move on. So the intelligence that you have brought into this is that it will be a post-audit based mechanism. The banks will have full visibility of what EBRCs are being generated by their customers, and they will use their risk management practices to do a sample check and call for details only in cases where it is required. Now, at this stage, I need to issue a very important clarification. Everybody should pay attention to this. So whatever we are showing today and the process improvement is for the EBRC system alone. So the EDPMS system that you all know, which is governed by RBI, that is separate, was always separate from EBRC. Although the submissions were interrelated, the EDPMS system as on date will continue to run parallel and separate to the EBRC system. So any documentary submissions that you will have to make for EDPMS system has to be compulsorily made till the date you get instructions otherwise from RBI or the banks. But let me also give the good news that we are in touch with RBI. Yesterday also there was a high-level interaction between DGFT and RBI officials. So we are trying to simplify this process further in the days and months forward, so that the compliance burden reduces further. But the takeaway is very clear that you will have to submit the documents to to your banks for EDPMS closure as was happening before, at least for the time being. So now moving forward, how do you know whether you can generate EBRC by self-certification or not as on date? It is decided by a cutoff date provided by your respective banks. So they have onboarded on various dates to the new system after the pilot was announced in November. Some joined in December itself. So from 1st January, some banks joined in. Then some other banks came in 31st January. Some others are still pending. There are just 2 or 3 banks which are now left to be onboarded. All this information is completely transparently available to you on the DGFT website. We'll show you where to find it also. So any of the inward remittance messages that have been received after this cutoff date of your respective bank, for those transactions, you can generate EBRC via the new system. But for all remittances which were received before that cutoff date, IRM generated before that, that will be handled in the old system, meaning you will have to approach the bank and request for the EBRC. So then the EBRC, as you know, any self-certification based system will be governed by a set of rules, which is built into the system. It is built into the system's logic. We will also show you what those rules are and where to find them for future reference. And the trade notice number 33 of 10th November, this has all the information on this big change in the EBRC system. At any point of time, feel free to refer back to that. Now we'll move to the next slide where we will show you the revamp process. In the revamp process, once again, it all starts when your buyer remits the amount to your respective bank account. Once this is done, and an IRM is generated by the bank by seeding your PAN number to the IRM. So before the banks used to generate EBRC only after verifying all your documents, but now it is no longer the system. Now banks will, as soon as the remittance is received, they will simply seed it with your PAN number and push it to the DGFT system via an API. So this will happen in real-time basis as and when sent by your banks, it will land onto the DGFT system. Once it has landed here, the IRM is auto-mapped to the IEC because as you all know, we have moved to a system of one PAN equals one IEC. So whichever PAN number is seeded, that particular IRM will land in the dashboard of the respective exporter. You all have IECs. You all have the login credentials for DGFT already. You simply log into the DGFT system using your existing credentials and go to the place where we will show to find all your IRMs. After this, the exporter will simply attach the shipping bill or the invoice concerned, the details of that. If at all the shipping bill is already available in the repository, in the DGFT repository as transmitted from customs, you can simply attach it with a few clicks, and then the system will check if you have complied to the rules that we were just talking about. And then you go ahead and generate your EBRC. So by this very short loop, you already have your EBRC ready and generated for your use. So once it is generated, it will flow in the backend to the banks. The data will flow. And only if your particular EBRC is picked up for a sample check, the banks will request for clarification as seen fit. Even let's say it was picked up in the sample check, but bank found everything okay. They will not ask for anything more from you. Close the check, and your EBRC will continue to be live. So this is the great business process reengineering that we have done so that the power shifts to the exporter. You are not reliant on anybody, neither the banks nor any other institution to generate EBRCs as soon as your remittance lands. So far as it complies with the rules of the new system. So next slide. So the major benefits is, of course, a reduction in compliance cost and burden for the exporters, especially for MSMEs and e-commerce exports. Then there is a massive work reduction for banks. As we know, we have an ambitious target of reaching 1 trillion exports each for merchandise and services by 2030. So if you have to move towards this, then we'll have to design intelligent systems and not rely on more and more manpower and physical checking. So that's what we have done here. And for the policymaker, that is us, it will aid us to have a granular view of the ecosystem, both in merchandise and especially in services, so that we can devise better schemes, better policies to serve all of you. So this is the major benefits. Next slide. So now the question comes, where do you access all this information and where do you access the new system? You're all familiar with the DGFT website. So once you go to the services tab, you will find EBRC. Once you click on that, you will see the screen where all the information related to EBRC is on a single screen. You don't have to navigate anywhere else. The first tile is the IRM ORM repository. Whatever the bank has pushed, which is seeded with your PAN number and matched to your IEC, will end up here. You can see what all is there. You can even export it to Excel, take it, then do all your reconciliation as to which remittance is for which shipping bill. Is it for multiple shipping bills? How you want to separate it? You can do all this and then come back to the system to generate EBRC in the second tile. We'll have a demo of how to use these functions. Then we also have provided a window to cancel your EBRCs. Let's say that there was a clerical error. So we don't want you to be running around to many places. Within 30 days of self-generation, as long as the EBRC has not been utilized, you can go ahead and cancel it. That part of the IRM will become free again. You can generate a new EBRC with the correct details. So once again, we are trusting you not to misuse this system. So and provided you with this flexibility. Third one is the utilization report. How many IRMs you have already utilized to generate EBRC? How many are left? All these things you can see here. If you want to view any EBRCs that have been generated, you can use the next tile. And the last one is a help manual, which I encourage all of you to go through for a detailed run through of the system. Please know the rules well so that you don't have any confusion when you go ahead to generate your EBRC. So the bottom three tiles are the rules and cutoff dates. The first one is the rules. We will show it in the next slide and discuss it briefly. The next one is a purpose code to SSC code mapping. This is relevant for services exporters, where we have mapped purpose codes to particular SSC codes. And only when these matches, they can generate the EBRCs. Last one is first point of reference for you, whether your bank is already onboarded and from which date they have onboarded, that you can check in the last tile. So moving on to my last slide, which is the general rules and guidelines. It is a flexible system. The rules are a multi-to-multi system, meaning multiple IRMs can be added to generate a single EBRC, meaning if you have received the remittance in parts, you can club all of them and generate single EBRC. IRM of only the same bank can be clubbed. This is rule number 2. The third one is that the same currency only can be clubbed because there will be a single currency which is displayed on the EBRC. However, if you have received remittances in different currencies, you can simply generate different EBRCs to that extent. So you can split one shipping bill for 2 or more EBRCs. It can be 2 or more different banks also. It can be shipped to 2 different entities. So you need 2 different EBRCs. So all this flexibility is with you. If you want to combine more than one shipping bill for a single transaction, that is also possible. So there are some purpose codes which are not relevant to exporters 101 and 108. You will not be using it. It will not affect you because this is used for internal reporting of the banks. And 0103 is an important purpose code. This is for advanced remittance, meaning advanced payments against the exports that you will be making after receipt of money. So this is the code where it will be reported. And for this, you can do a standalone generation if you want a separate EBRC or entire amount is realized in one shot, or you can club it with any other purpose code so that you can generate the EBRC. So this is the only purpose code which is being allowed to club with other purpose codes, because this is common for advanced remittance for any sector. Then 0103 can be used standalone to generate. I've already told you, can be clubbed with various things, services not really relevant. I'm not getting into it. And finally, no two purpose codes other than this 103 will be allowed to be clubbed. For services IT, there are relevant purpose codes. They can use only that. And the last slide that I'll be showing you will give you some information. Yash, please switch over to the next slide. That will show you the various channels you have to receive help, if at all needed, for this process or any other DGFT related help. First is the toll-free help desk which we run. Then there is also a ticketing mechanism. We encourage you to go by the ticketing mechanism so that you can provide screenshots, etc. And the help desk team will connect back with you for a resolution. If you have any feedback on rules and the PCSSE mapping, then we encourage you to write to EBRC DGFT. Your transactional operational issues will not be addressed if you write to this email ID. This is for feedback on rules and mapping only. For all other things, please use the ticketing system, which is there in DGFT website under services and further under DGFT help desk service. Please raise a ticket so that the help desk team can reach you or call the toll-free number. So this is all I have to present. Yash, we can close the presentation now. With this, I'll hand it back to Dugalji to conduct.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Padyayan, sir, for your very detailed and useful presentation and explanation to the various aspects of this new system of EBRC. I think you have very well explained, and I sincerely hope that all exporter members who have joined here would have benefited from it. So
Actually,
just
sorry to interrupt you. We also have a demonstration. So let us pick that up.
okay.
So that most of the questions will get answered in the demonstration itself, and whatever remains, we can
Alright.
take it up in the Q&A.
Please,
So,
please.
Rohit, please share your screen and do the demonstration.
Okay, sir. Just confirm once that my voice is visible and my screen is also visible.
Yeah, you're audible.
Voice is visible.
Yeah.
Okay, my voice is.
Please switch to the browser. Yeah. We can start.
Okay. Okay, to access the EBRC module, the exporter needs to navigate to services, then EBRC. So here are the all the functions which are available under the EBRC modules. In this IRM ORM repository, the exporter can view all the IRM and ORM pulled by the banks to the DGFT website. In this, we have the filters to search the IRM, bank name, IRM number, remittance date, IRM status, remitter country. So just now, for now, I'll start with the remittance date. So here are all the RM of this particular IC. In this we can see that RM number, RM issue date, IC number, firm name, purpose code, purpose of the RM. This particular RM is of advance payment. The currency of RM, the RM amount. Uh, this amount with EBRC, amount matched with EBRC will get updated as soon as you generate an EBRC to the corresponding RM. Let's say that if I generate an EBRC of 300 for this particular RM, then this field will get updated as 300. We can use the partial amount of these amount to make generate multiple EBRCs. And for this IRM, there is an ORM attached to it of 937 amount. So the balance amount is shown here. So I can make EBRC of this amount. Either I can make multiple EBRCs which comes total sum of this amount, or I can make one EBRC of this whole amount. Then the status is shown: remittance ID code, PAN, transaction ID, and remitter name. So this is our IRM ORM repository. To search ORM, we can toggle between inward and ORM remittance. And here these are the field to search the ORM. Click on the search button. Here are all the ORMs which are related to this IC. In this, we have shown that this ORM is tagged to this IRM. What is the ORM date? What is the ORM amount? Transaction ID? All is shown in the table only. So basically, it is similar to the shipping bill repository type. Now, moving forward, to generate EBRC, the exporter needs to navigate to generate EBRC tile. The exporter can either start with fresh application or continue with the draft. For this IC, there is no draft, so I'll begin with a fresh application. Okay, so this is the first page of the generate EBRC. In this, the exporter needs to fill all the metadata. First, it's need to declare that this payment is from third party or not. Uh, then if payment is realized in any of these account, watchdog account or SRV account, or it is an account other than these two, then no need to select these. If the payment realization is in INR, then the exporter need to select the SRV account. The If the IRM currency is in INR, then SRV account needs to be selected. Otherwise, the application will not be able to move forward. So for this demo, I have only IRMs of US dollars. So I'll deselect this SRV account and begin with generation of EBRC. Let me add an IRM. The exporter needs to just enter the IRN number here, and all the metadata will get filled automatically. The bank name, purpose code, currency, remittance amount, ORM attached. So IRM available amount to generate EBRC is shown here. So for this, I'll just use 400 amount. So balance is shown here. Then I'll add this in the table. So in the application, we can add multiple IRMs also. I'll just show you. So for this available amount is 13,475. So I'll add 1,000 and the balance is showing it. Then add R. So basically, to add these items, I have some basic business rule that the purpose code should be same. But for advanced payment can be clubbed with any purpose code. The bank name should be same. The iron currency should be same. That is the basic business rule to club the iron. So I have added 400 and 1000 amount of EBRC, and the total value of EBRC is showing here, and the currency is also showing here. Then click on save on next. Then the exporter need to fill the shipping bill details here, like the shipping bill AD code, shipping bill number, shipping bill date, shipping bill currency, and shipping bill value. And there is no check for the shipping bill value, as shipping bill value can be greater than the EBRC value, since, as we can generate n number of EBRC for a particular shipping bill. So I'll just add 2000. So you can see that a net realized value FC is shown here, 1400. So if there is any discount which was given on the product, then we can add here. Amount will get deducted from 1400. It is now showing as 1300. If there is any other deduction, we can add also here. Let's say I add 200. Then the net realized value is showing as 700. The same goes for commission value, insurance value, and freight also. And after that, the exporter needs to enter the invoice number. After adding all this data, the exporter can preview its application or EVRC certificate. This is just a preview view, not the final EVRC certificate. It just show that how the EVRC will look. Uh, then click on save and next. Uh, Read the declaration and accept the declaration. Click on sign. This is a UAT environment, so the exporter needs to digitally sign the application, then click on generate EBIC. Your EBRC is generated. The EBRC number is shown here, and the file number through which EBRC has been generated also is shown here. The file gets auto approved. Now I can see this shipping bill. Oh, sorry, EBRC in my repository also. Bank realization. As you can see in my EBRC repository, the shipping bill, the EBRC which I have just generated is now showing, and I can use this further in my application, GEM application or advanced application or other modules in which EBRCs are attached. Moving forward, to cancel EBRC, the exporter can go to cancel EBRC bill repositories, select EBR, bank relation EBRC, search your EBRC. So you can see that there is a cancel EBRC initiate button. Uh, there is one thing that this initiate button will just will be appear for those EBRC only which are not utilized and are within the time period of the cancellation. As soon as that time period expires, this initiate button will get disappear, and if it is utilized also, this button will not appear to the exporter. For now, like this is available, so I'll just cancel this EBRC. Yes, okay. Just show the data of the EBRC which was generated. enter the remarks for cancellation and digitally sign the application. Click on cancel EBRC. Now the EBRC has been cancelled, which we can view this also. As you can see that now the EBRC bank relationship status is now showing as cancelled. After cancellation, the print EBRC button also gets disappeared. So these are the function of the IRM repository, generate EBRC, then cancellation of EBRC. Next is our view IRM utilization report. In this, the exporter can view the IRM details and the EBRCs which are tagged to the which IRM it is tagged to. The exporter can select the report based on these filters. Like for this, I'm selecting IRM date. The exporter can search for particular IRM, EBRC or EBRC date, and also with bank name also. So click on submit request. You can see the request submitted and it is already been processed. Click on process. An Excel sheet gets downloaded. Click on that. You can see that there are two IRMs within that IRM date filter, and its data is showing IRM date, amount, FCC, which has been already utilized. So this is our IRM utilization. Uh, So in this child, in view any EBRC, the exporter can view EBRC which was generated and the previous EBRC which was pulled by banks. And by download request, the exporter can download the IRM, ORM, and EBRC data in an Excel and in respond to bank agency if there is an if your EBRC has been flagged by the banks, then to communicate with the bank, the exporter can uh, access this tile to respond to the bank for the particular EBRC. And for help manuals, the exporter can access this tile. An EBRC generation tool will be available in this tile, and purpose code to the SSC mapping available in this. And exporters can view their bank which they are tagged to, whether they are onboarded with this new system or not. So this is the end of the demo.
Thanks, Rohit. I just will give a couple of quick clarification. One is that any shipping bill which is already there in the DGFT repositories, as you know that the whichever shipping bills are utilized, marked for utilization against a particular scheme or any incentive scheme, etc., they flow to DGFT. So free shipping bills do not flow to DGFT as on date. So whichever is there in the repository, you can link it with the EBRC and all the details that Rohit was explaining, shipping bill number, amount, etc. They will be auto-generated once you tag the particular shipping bill by selecting it. For those shipping bills which are not in the repository, you have to fill the metadata before proceeding to generate the EBRC. That is number one, and I think that answers one of the questions asked also. Second one, by utilization here in this context, we are only talking about utilization against FTP schemes that is available for viewing on our platform. So whenever it says utilized, yes, it means that it has been utilized against an FTP scheme. As somebody pointed out in the questions, the service export BRC are not seen as utilized as on date, but we are also in touch with GST and we have had a couple of meetings already. We are already validating your GST number credentials with GSTN, but we are going to deepen this integration so that there is a bidirectional flow with GSTN also. So going forward, what we aim to do is your GST compliances, whatever is done, the utilization status also reflects on this portal. However, whenever you are canceling, you should not cancel any EBRC which has already been used in your GST compliance also. So that you need to keep in mind. So the other point was that the e-commerce export payments are received via payment gateways like PayPal, and any orders are clubbed in a day. So this is perfectly fine. The remittance what has been received can be split into any number of different EBRCs, so you can make use of that. The next query was regarding an EDPMS compliance issue. As I explained in the beginning of the presentation, let me reiterate that as on date, EDPMS compliance is separate from EBRC. So whatever we are showing here is applicable only and only for EBRC and not for EDPMS compliance. So to that extent, whatever EDPMS queries, please take it up with your bank, and probably GJEPC can help you close complicated transactions by providing you the right advice. Export invoice number or bank ID, what input in invoice number option? Your export invoice number is expected to be put in there. If IRM is not reflected, means that your bank has not yet pushed that IRM by seeding the PAN to DGFT system. So that is what it means. Your bank will do it in a regular basis. But if something is missing, please get in touch with your bank so that they can push the IRM. Time limit to cancel, it is 30 days from date of generation, provided it is not utilized. Apart from exhibitors or any agency, can view details of EBRC like earlier. So right now your banks will be able to view the EBRC. And of course, you will be able to view it, DGFT has a view of it. But no other agency so far has been conceptualized to have a view of this. However, wherever you submit the EBRC, there is a QR code on that. By scanning it, one can verify the contents and authenticity of the EBRC. So that will be public. Whenever you submit your details, somebody can verify it. Shipping bills which are not in DGFT repository include CSBV and PBE. That is correct. As on today, we don't have the courier and postal, but we have requested customs to transmit this, and we are hoping that that will also be closed in due time. Metadata is filled in the application itself. Whatever Rohit was filling, shipping bill number, date, amount of realization, that itself is the metadata. So it will be a part of the application process. You don't need to fill anything separately. After receiving payment, normally after how many days will it be updated? That depends on your bank. However, banks have been partners from day one in building this system. So they are doing it in a reasonable time. You know that once the remittance is received, before you use it, there is usually a time lag. Within that, banks will try to push it here. But if you don't see it, then you need to get in touch with your bank so that they push it to DGFT system. What about IRMs for payment received in the form of RTGS or NEFT from third party? You will have to request your bank to create an IRM by providing the relevant justification, because NEFT RTGS, as you know, is a domestic transaction. There is no automatic creation of IRM. So that's how we'll deal with it. I'll just quickly run through some other queries, then we can open the floor. I would request GJPC, Mr. Dugal and others to conduct it. Bank name not shown in EBRC. When we use multiple IRM, date of bank realization shown only last IRM. Mr. Santosh Shah can probably explain his query when we open the floor so that we can answer it. PayPal credits or pay credits. Mr. Bhavik Chotalia also needs to explain a bit further. We'll open the floor shortly so you can hold your queries. Not able to generate EBRC, shipping bill date is 7/2/24 and the value of remittance is 9/2/24. Bank has wrongly mentioned purpose code. So in this case, bank will have to change the purpose code. For advance payments, the rule says that shipping bills with LEO date on the same day or any date thereafter will be allowed, because advance payments means that. So if they have wrongly tagged it with 0103, Mr. Ketan can request the bank to change it and retransmit the IRM, after which you will be able to show it. Shipping bill not showing in DGFT, we already answered that. To generate EBRC IRM is mandatory, absolutely, that forms the basis of this. Should we generate EBRC again with the same IRM after cancellation within time? That is correct. What is ORM? ORM means outward remittance. Sometimes there is a rejection, etc., where of the consignment, so you'll have to send the money back. For that, an ORM is generated that will get automatically tagged and deducted, so that your EBRC can only be generated to that extent. If export currency and realized currency is different, then there is any extra procedure. This we are formulating a particular schema for this. This we will come back to you. Right now, your currency should match. That is what is part of the system design. For any other process, for GR release, etc., it will be a separate procedure. This is only for EBRC, what you have shown. EDPMS and any other procedures will be separate. For IRM uploaded with incorrect PAN, you will have to once again contact your bank to correct it. How much time will bank take? That depends on your bank. Previous EBRCs in invoice number option, bank's BRN number is mentioned, so we should continue that. Please enter your export invoice number. Mr. Pantala has a query whether bank's BRN number is to be mentioned or invoice number. Please enter your export invoice number. Netting of cases is allowed. We have a workflow for that. You will also see some FAQs very shortly on our website. We are formulating them. Netting of cases will be allowed and will be handled in the system. Shipping bill AD code is different from advance payment received different bank. How is it possible? So this has been highlighted by a few banks also. We are in discussion as to how to handle this. Right now, your AD code must match, but the general rule is that whichever bank is sending the IRM, we will allow we will match the AD code with that particular bank. So, but we have been told that there is some use cases which fall outside of this bracket. So we are exploring how to handle that. Payments under 1 lakh from mediators like Wise can show as IMPS in statement. What about IRM for this? You will have to request your bank for NEFT payments and payments like this in IMPS, etc. On request, banks can generate an IRM and push it to this platform. what option to choose in payment realized in Vostro account, SRVA account if payment received in USD. So if it is not received in a Vostro via Vostro or SRVA account, you don't need to select any option. But to make it more intuitive, we will request the team to put not applicable or something like that so that it is more intuitive. We'll take that up for a change. Thank you for the suggestion. You will not have to select anything if it is not Vostro or SRVA transaction. Difference in invoice name and IRM name of importer. Okay, we are concerned with your cardinal shipping document, which is the shipping bill. The invoice related issues can occur further during your EDPMS closure. We are not commenting on that right now, but we are doing all the matches with shipping bill. So whatever is there in shipping bill must match. That is what is our requirement. What is SRV account? I request you to please do a bit of Googling to discover SRVA. We also will upload some content on SRVA accounts on our website for your use. Now I'll request Mr. Dugal to, if some raised hands are there and they want to come in and ask their questions, or a couple of them had to explain their query.
Thank you so much for very, very detailed explanation to the queries raised by the members. I have one, maybe other members would also be hearing. How many banks have onboarded so far? Any idea on that? Or all banks have onboarded? Because 31st January, I believe, was the last date till when the banks were to be, integrated with the new system.
Yes, most of the banks are on there. In the list that is there on the DGFT website, you can check the particular bank. There are only 2 or 3 major banks which have almost completed their testing, etc. They will also go live. One big one is SBI. So they had some requirements which we were handling the changes. They will also come live. The other big one is Punjab National Bank.
That is what some of our members were mentioning, that PNB perhaps is not onboarded as yet.
Yes, but we are in touch with them on a regular basis. Some of the banks have some capacity issues on their side to complete this API development, etc. That's why there was a delay. But it won't be too long before we have all the banks onboarded. So.
All right. So one more query on behalf of some members is that suppose in against one export invoice against one shipping bill, the buyer sends a number of part payments. There will be multiple IRMs, and then one EBRC can be issued for all IRMs concerning that shipping bill.
We leave it to you. You want to club them and issue one EBRC, you can do that. It is allowed. If you want to generate separate EBRCs, you can do that also. So we are not interfering in that.
So there can be separate EBRCs.
Yes, yes.
Sorry. One more is DJPCC. We are an agency which issues Appendix 4O for claiming gold on replenishment basis for the jewelry sold in foreign exhibitions. One of the requirements for issuing of Appendix 4O is the submission of document which includes EBRC by the exporter. Earlier, as an agency, we were authorized to view the EBRC. We could log in and view the EBRC and verify the authenticity of that. Now that provision is not there.
No, now it is even simpler. You don't even have to log in. There is a QR code on the EBRC. You can scan it to verify authenticity. Or there is a link on our EBRC services also, where if you enter the IC number, EBRC number, you will be able to verify authenticity. So that is open now. Anybody with a copy of EBRC can validate its authenticity and details.
My side, unless some members have any question, please.
Yeah, Dugal sir, this is Moin Abhag. So I just want to add to whatever the discussion is.
Welcome.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, firstly, thank you for GJEPC for organizing this. I see that there's a reasonable number of people who've joined. And thank you for Arjun for steering the entire presentation and answering the questions. Just wanted to supplement whatever Arjun and the presenters have mentioned, like just to give you a context as to what this is all about. What is this self-certification EBRC? The so if you take a step back, one of the principal motivations is that the government of India has set a target of $2 trillion of exports by 2030, which means that we'll be from 780 currently, we'll be moving to 2000, which is almost 3 times the current volumes. We don't see any scaling up in terms of the bank employees or in terms of DGFT employees, etc. So this process where you submit documents to the bank and then bank does a case-to-case due diligence may lead to a conundrum sooner or later. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but eventually we'll have a problem where banks will be overburdened. We've seen that happening in terms of courier exports already. A lot of exports to courier, there is a problem that the bank is not supporting, or bank has certain higher charges in terms of generating the EBRCs or knocking it off in EDPMS. So in this context, it was timely that we revamp the process, because EBRC also has a process. The earlier legacy process is from 2011. So we're good 13th year into this implementation. And in fact, EDPMS is also based along the EBRC structure, except that the banks have access instead of the exporter. So that being the workflow, we've had extensive discussions with various stakeholders, and this is the proposed design. This is based on a trust-based system, in the sense that when you go to customs to export, 80 to 85% of your consignments are auto LEO is issued without any examination or any kind of intrusive mechanisms coming into play. Similarly, we understand that even for realizations, FEMA compliance is made in majority of the cases. So we leave it to the exporter to declare, and then based on a risk-based system, that is the way forward, that there'll be certain cases which will be flagged for the bank. Further, currently, there is some kind of dissonance in the sense that you have EDPMS working separately, there is EBRC revamp. So the banks would anyways be doing the EDPMS part, and you would be required to submit documents, the documents within 21 days of the shipment as per FEMA Section 7. However, once this system in its current form, based on the shipping bill validations happens, we'll also be hooking this up to EDPMS. So which means that will solve the larger confusion that is there, that EDPMS and EBRC will work in sync. This is coming from discussions with RBI, and we have certain comfort in terms of the engagements with RBI that they have a green signal on the entire implementation. Formally, it will be communicated in due course whenever this happens. Further, what we've also requested is a rationalization of the documents that banks ask. Every bank has its own system, wherein some banks even ask for certificate of origin, etc., for generating, for knocking it off in EDPMS, etc. Packing list, invoices, bill of lading, all of these are being asked. So we are in the process of rationalization in terms of the documents, standardization of the documents, and then rationalization of the documents. That do banks really need to ask for the bill of lading when the LEO has been generated for the shipping bills? So those kind of discussions are actively being considered, and shortly FEDI and RBI should be organizing a workshop with the banks to sort out some of these matters. That is the context, that is the background. I hope that I'm just sharing this so that everybody is on the same page, that the idea, the larger objective is that to reduce compliance burden and not to increase it. So however, every such initiative comes with its own set of birthing pains. So there might be some confusion as to how to do it, how is it working. All that you'll have to labor through. Once you labor through, you'll find a cleaner operation at the end of our collective journey. Now, also now getting into the specific certain questions, etc., on Vostro and those kind of arrangements. it is in continuation to whatever was being done earlier. So IRMs were being generated when you receive money from a WASTO through NEFT arrangement into your account. Suppose some exporter has a WASTO over here, then from that arrangement, so NEFT, and then your receiving bank was generating the IRM, even for the rupee realizations. So in this case also, similarly, an EFRC will be generated from bank A to bank B, and bank B will be generating the IRM. So there is no. Just a minute. I'll just step out for a second. Arjun, please, you can answer the question. Just.
Right, I see some more questions, so I'll go ahead and answer it in the interim. Where to show foreign bank charges? There is a, if you observed when Rohit was showing you the demo, there is a place to show any other deductions. You can always show whatever deductions you want in that. If you are exporting gold jewelry in provisional rate basis, once rate is fixed, we'll prepare final invoice. Shipping bill value is provisional value. Is it possible to match final invoice value? We are not matching invoice value to shipping bill value in this system. We are only using the shipping bill value as an indicator of division into EBRCs. If you divide it, or if it is a single remittance, it will get used up in that. So that, at least for EBRC, is not relevant. Of course, for your EDPMS, these queries will continue, and we, as we told before also, EDPMS compliances are separate, and we are not the competent authority to comment on it. So we will not comment at this stage. However, to make your lives easier further, as Moin sir just said, we are in talks with RBI to integrate further. Do we need to approach our bank to have IRM to generate EBRC? No, you don't have to approach your bank. The banks have already sent more than 1 lakh IRMs to our system. I'm sure that no exporter went to the banks to request a transmission. So the banks are doing it automatically. And as far as what Dugal Saab asked previously, how many banks? We have 46 banks already live. And also a correction on the IRM figure, it is 3 lakh IRMs which have already landed in our system as on date. And we also have over 700 EBRCs already generated via the new mechanism. So to that extent, it has its validation already. You don't need to approach. Only if there are issues, like somebody said that there was a mistake in the purpose code, etc., then only you will have to approach your bank for corrections. So in a normal use case, you won't have to do that. Then somebody has asked Mr. Harshit Kumar Jain that he has received 250,000 as advance in Kotak Mahindra and have converted into INR. Your conversion into INR is irrelevant as long as it has come from the external source, landed into your bank account. So your IRM is generated based on that and pushed to DGFT system. You can link it with as many shipping bill. You can divide it amongst shipping bills or club IRMs to single shipping bill. All types of things are allowed. So it's a flexible system. Rest assured, please go ahead and try it. If you really have problems, you can use our help desk channels to receive the due support. So third party, yes, this was raised repeatedly. I think Moin sir will have some comments on the third party transaction.
Yeah. So just continuing from where I left out. So I believe that arrangement where money is coming through NEFT through some WASTO arrangement, that will work as the existing process wherein IRM as will be generated by the receiving your bank, and you can generate even for rupee realizations. You can generate your BRCs. There are certain questions when your AD bank differs. So that as far as EDPMS is concerned, that EFRC mechanism will be used for communicating from one AD bank to the other, so that the knocking off can happen. As far as EBRC is concerned, we will be introducing checks subsequently to do that AD code matching and all that, so that the correct bank generates the IRM. For now, it is left open.
Okay.
Right, because for now we have not got official communication on the rules concerning FEMA. So RBI will be shortly sharing a set of business rules for enforcement in our system, which will duly incorporate and issue a trade notice accordingly. So
Okay.
that will be communicated in due course. Similarly, for third party invoicing, we have an undertaking when you're generating your EBRC that you're complying with FEMA. So if you're not, like third party, essentially what it says that shipping bill should have that declaration that the third party has been mentioned, and then the money can come in. If you're exporting to country and money is coming from country B or some other party, you have to declare it on the shipping bill. If you should have declared that. If not, just please don't generate your EBRC, because there's an undertaking under that EBRC performer which says that you complied with FEMA guidelines. If you have not complied, then obviously there is a violation. So it's not like you can EBRC will be an excuse for that violation. Okay. So that is yeah. So if something else that I should answer, I mean, I thought.
So I'll continue with the queries. We have received EFIRC numbers from the bank. Now we want to generate EBRC by self-certified. While fill up IRM number on DGFT portal, it is showing this IRM number does not belong to this IEC. So this case may be the case of wrong seeding of PAN number. So you'll have to get in touch with your bank to check if they seeded the correct PAN number. But if the bank confirms that correct PAN number is seeded and you still can't see, then please raise a service ticket. We'll get it examined and fixed. Can we generate EBRC from 2018? You definitely can, but not in the new system. This will be handled in the old system. You approach your bank, submit documents, and they will generate the EBRC for you. It will not be handled in the new system. What if the shipping bill is not showing on EDPMS? This issue is happening with my bank as I speak. To repeat, we are talking about EBRC and not EDPMS. So that is a separate issue that you will have to take up with both the bank and the transmitter, which is customs.
Yeah,
What-
so I mean, just to comment on this question, Arjun, sorry to interject that yes, there are certain issues in terms of the API integration between EDPMS and customs. So the idea is that going forward, we'll try to supplement whatever information EDPMS is getting from customs, and plug those gaps, specifically in terms of postal shipping bills and courier shipping bills. So what Arjun said continues, that you'll have, that is for the bank, for you to raise with RBI support, not with DGFT, but the soft assurance that going forward, I think we should be able to solve that problem collectively for the larger ecosystem. Yeah.
Then how many days cutoff limit for EBRC generation from IRM date? We have not set any such cutoff limit.
Again, on this point also, FEMA says that you have to submit your documents to the AD bank within 21 days of shipment. So you should follow that compliance and also generate your BRC in that period, so that bank is also able to validate, because banks will have a view on our EBRC system. So once you generate, they can also validate the details from our system when they're doing the documentary verification for EDPMS. So that rule has to be complied. In fact, RBI has told us specifically that we should sensitize the exporting community that 21 days rules is not being followed, and while it is being overlooked at some time to time, this is enforceable. So please use that as a guiding principle, the 21 days principle.
And Mr. Unikrishnan has a query about deemed export. So in the demonstration, you must have seen that there are three categories. One is physical exports, services exports, and deemed exports. For deemed exports, you will select that particular option. So then it reduces the number of fields that you have to fill. For instance, the port code is no longer relevant. So that will be auto-generated. You will feed in the metadata of your deemed export documents and move ahead to issue, self-generate your EBRC. Shipping bill will not be relevant there. So rest assured, we have taken care of that also. Somebody has asked about USD 100,000 is received and full settlement of bill, there is $5 left out. What happens to the 5? In EBRC system, right now, nothing happens to that 5. So we are basically not trying to match every number total on the shipping bill to the total IRM received as of now, but that is required for your knockoff. So within the write-off limits, knockoff meaning for EDPMS, that is separate, as we have been repeatedly mentioning. So there the banks and have a knockoff limit of waiver limit, a write-off limit under which they can process your documents further for knockoff. So 5 out of 100,000 falls under that, just for information. But
Yeah.
that is how it is handled.
5% is you can write off 5% on your own. Even FEMA allows that. The RBI guidelines allows that. Another 10% can be written off by the bank, and if you are status holder, you can write off another 10%. So realizing 5% lesser is not a problem in general. And in the BRC system, you'll be generating for the 95, not for the 100. That we are okay with. In fact, in the BRC system, you're also required to declare your commissions or freight and insurance, etc. And so that we know the net realized that comes to you. Okay.
Then last question, which is there, from which year or date of invoice new system will be applicable? New system is applicable based on your remittance date, based on the IRM date. So the cutoff date as announced by your bank, all IRMs which are generated thereafter, that will be processed in the new system. So that dates you can find on our website under the EBRC services. So I think we have answered almost every
yes.
question.
That finishes all the questions, I think. So thank you very much, sir, Mohan sir, for your very enlightened views and suggestions and queries answered. And thank you, Mr. Arjun Upadhyay, also for very detailed presentation and showing the members about the ease of getting the new EBRC, which is definitely a very big step forward, as you had said in your presentation, and as Mr. Mohan had also said, based on trust of the exporters. I think it is a new initiative and will build new confidence among the exporters that now, the government is trusting and authorizing them to certain actions and issuing of the BRCs and compliance, fulfilling various compliances. So definitely it is a great step forward and will definitely help the exporters reduce the compliances, reduce their costs as well. And it will help them to, concentrate more on their efforts to export and achieve the desired targets set for the sector. So thank you very much for your sparing your time, sir. And we really appreciate your coming and explaining to the members and answering their queries.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Dugal. One last before we close is that the documents that are asked by the banks for knocking off in EDPMS, etc. If we can share that, if the members can put it together and also submit a suggestion as to which of those documents are can be rationalized, can be reduced. That would help, because it's not just the technological change; it's also a policy level intervention.
Yes.
So we would like to take that up also, so that there's a rationalization of the overall process.
Very much so.
So that's my largest submission. I request you to kindly put it together and formally communicate, so that this will help us, all the stakeholders. I mean, even banks would be happy with this development, because it allows them to work in a more streamlined manner. That's my only concluding point. Yeah.
Definitely.
So,
I think we will request our members to, give suggestions on this as to what documents are redundant and not required, or which can be substituted, so that the system can become more friendly.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much again to all
Thank
who
you.
have joined the program. Thank you, the members also, who made it very lively presentation and a very lively webinar. Thanks to all.
Thank you.
Thank you.